continue. We had the circuits had blown without me knowing it in that last room, so we relocated where I can actually turn the machine on. And one more thing about the pads that I wanted to illustrate. This pad's been used thoroughly on both sides, and you can see where it does transfer soil there. This one is about half. That side's been used, this one hasn't. And this is a brand new pad, just to show you how they get thinner the more you use them. I've never attempted fate by seeing how far it'll go before it wears all the way through, because that would be a big problem. But when it gets to that point, just go ahead and throw it away. Okay, so I probably should have tested this before we started rolling camera, just to be on the safe side. What I was trying to illustrate before is that the main driver will go clockwise and the smaller pads will go counterclockwise. And when you shut the machine off and turn it on again, it's going to change directions. That's good for the machine and it's good for the carpet fibers. So if you're doing a large job like a dining room, a lobby, or hallways, maybe every 5 minutes or so, just shut it off for a second and turn it back on. The switch is, no matter which way you have it, vertical, whether it's up or down, is going to be off. Horizontal is always going to be on. And you can't turn it the wrong way. It only goes that direction. So, now, when you're ready to clean, this is like a counterweight. There's a handle here. You can just put that down. It's not good for the machine to leave it sitting like that because this is really heavy and that puts a lot of pressure on the heads. While you're running the machine, the brushes float, or the pads float rather, so it's not a problem. But if you're gonna stop and take a coffee break, or you need to go get more solution, whatever, just go ahead and tilt that up and rock that back and leave it like that. So, okay, so for the water, there's 3 different variables on that, or well, there's really 2. Down here, I'm gonna reposition this. There's a valve, and it's just a simple ball valve. Right, if you can see the hose there, it's perpendicular with the hose. So now it's off, and that's all the way on. I've been told by our sales reps that this is going to vary from machine to machine. On mine, the just right spot is just shy of all the way on. Partially it's going to depend on the machine, and partially it's going to depend on the operator. Because if you have somebody who's 6 feet tall with long legs, they're going to walk faster than somebody who's 5 feet tall, right? So you have the variable there for the speed, and also how much solution you put down. And then over here, there's a trigger. So even though that's open, it's not dispensing any solution because I don't have the trigger down. So with the trigger, there's no adjustment on the trigger, it's either on or off. So you would adjust the rate of flow with that valve and also with your speed, all right? Some people, like I was training some folks at the Creekside facility last week, and their environmental services director is shorter and more petite than I am, so for her, it worked to put her toe behind the wheel and push back on the handle to have enough leverage to do that. So you're going to have to get used to the way the machine works and figure out what works well for you. So these pads, I haven't used this machine lately, so the pads are totally dry. You don't want to start the dry pads on the carpet because it's too much friction. So I'm going to go ahead and apply solution. And you can see where there's some moisture on the carpet there. While I have it up in the air, I'll start the brushes and then just ease it down. And hopefully this shows up on camera, but it left a very light foam there. And if you're doing, let's say, a hallway, you do a pass with the trigger down where you're applying solution, release the trigger and do another pass dry where you're just agitating. And with the counter rotation, if you visualize my fingers here as carpet fibers, it cleans every surface of the fiber. So if you want to see that light suds, if you start throwing off a lot of, if you sit still in one, well, I'll just demonstrate. If you go too slow and you're putting too much solution down, you'll start throwing suds off to the side. So that would be way too much. It's not the end of the world, but mostly that's a waste of chemical and it's going to take the carpet a lot longer to dry. If you have a spot that, let's say a traffic way, where, let's say if this were a bathroom door and this carpet's a little bit darker, it's not helpful to put down extra solution, but you could spend extra time agitating it. So I would still just do my wet pass, and then I would just come back and, without applying any more solution, just spend a little extra time in that area with the machine to scrub. A lot of time with those areas you're going to have to extract. It just kind of depends on the situation. So, to drain the machine, when you're all done, the hose, and they leave you a lot of slack on here so there's room for the head to move up and down. One thing you have to be careful about, and I've seen this on a couple of these, is that sometimes this hose will get pinched, either when you're putting it down or when you're putting it up, so you need to make sure that there's a little collar here where you can slide it back and forth and find the right spot. But the hose just has a simple friction fit on the head there, and I've got that pinched so it's not squirting all over the place. But when you're ready to drain the machine out, you can just put this in